Hey everyone, this is Mike, and today I'm going to be doing my first impressions of Curse of the Dead Gods, as well as show a little bit of gameplay of me probably getting slaughtered in the Lost Temple. So this game just released into early access earlier today. I've been playing it for about an hour now or something like that. I beat the first dungeon, and I thought I'd do a little bit of a first impressions as well as some gameplay preview. And I'm gonna very quickly turn down the volume of the game a bit in my headset because it's a bit too loud, but you guys won't hear the difference. So this is a roguelike in which you basically go and venture into a temple, and you can actually choose what temple you want to go in, which is really cool. So first of all, we have this thing over here where we can choose blessings. Blessings are basically passive benefits. You can have up to 3. At the moment I only have 2 unlocked, or 2 slots unlocked, and then by beating certain tasks inside of the dungeon you can unlock more of them. And then you also have a currency, which are these skulls that you can also see on the top right, that drop from certain enemies as well as from bosses and stuff like that, that you can then use to unlock some of these blessings. And then we also have divine favors over here. This allows you to refresh the choice of items when you're looking for weapons or relics in the shrines, but I'll show you that when we get there. And then we also have some work in progress stuff, so there is going to be more added as well. This game is in early access. I'm not quite sure if I mentioned that already at the start. Normally I'm not a huge fan of early access games, but this one looked really good, so I decided to give in basically. So right now we have only the Jaguar dungeon available. Maybe by the time that I'm done beating all of the different courses or the explorations, the Serpent one will open up as well. So in total, by the time that this game releases, it looks like there's going to be 4 different dungeons. Now, depending on the type of exploration you choose, your dungeon is going to look a bit different. So I'm gonna do a short exploration right now to show you, and then you can see that I basically only have one path to follow, or like one dungeon floor, I guess you could call it, and then have one boss at the end. But if, say for example, I took the medium exploration, then you can see I have one boss here, and then I have a second boss there. So depending on how long you want to play, you can basically plan out how much time you want to invest. I'm going to do a short exploration for the purpose of this video. And then you kind of have a choice of where you want to start, a la, what's it called again, Slay the Spire. Very reminiscent of this. Is showing you what you can get. Basically we have relics, we have gold, we have weapons, and then we also, those 3 different colors, those are stats. And then the plus symbol that you can see, that is basically a well of health that you can use to regenerate some HP. Since I'm using a blessing that starts me off with 1000 gold, I think I'm just gonna start off with the weapon to immediately get access to some extra stuff. Because this roguelike is not really like, for example, something like Wizard of Legend, which is the one that I like to play the most. But this one is very much based on equipment that you find in the dungeon. So you have your torch available to you at all times that you can use to light stuff on fire. You have a gun, which you can shoot, and if you then also time it perfectly, you usually will trigger extra effects. And then you of course also have the machete that you can see me use here, and I'm already getting hit way too much. You can also use your torch, as I said, to put stuff on fire. And this will also be pretty important later on. For example, say I put that on fire, that will kill those enemies. Enemies do take damage from the environment, so that's something to keep in mind as well. And then as you can see, if I shoot normally, it does 20 damage. If I trigger the perfect shot, it does 30 damage. So it is definitely worth going for those perfect shots. And I'll light this thing on fire again. But that's not everything that we have access to. We also have access to some other stuff, which is a parry. Now the parry is something that I haven't always found out the timing for it just yet. You also can't parry everything, by the way. So that's also something to keep in mind. And these are these statues basically. So as you can see, I could use one of my favors to reroll the options that are available here to me. I am probably going to take the bow. Attacks from behind deal more damage, 1% base constitution. So the constitution is one of the 3 stats that we have basically. And then a perfect shot is, as I said, something that looks like this. So a normal shot looks like that. Perfect shot looks like that, also gets a different sound animation. I will probably try to switch out the bow for something else like a hammer later on. Something like that. Usually when you're just exploring, you want to use your torch as well, because it does illuminate the floor, which is very important for finding secret spots in the wall, or for example when there's traps around. Because for example, if there would be traps here, if I did not have my torch out, I wouldn't be able to see the traps until I actually stood on top of them, and by that time it's usually too late. There's also this thing called a greed kill, which are basically kills that are risky, I guess you could call it. Oh, and here's a crack in the wall. Now, I don't have a weapon that can open this, but luckily enough there is a bomb close by, so I can use the bomb to basically bust it open. Now, unfortunately enough, there's nothing in this one, but there is some gold behind this one, and I can't reach it unfortunately enough, because as I said, I don't have a weapon to open these. I think the hammer is the only one that can open it. Oh, and as you can see, there's traps here. As I said, if I had not have my torch out, I would not be able to see those traps until I would actually physically stand on top of them. And if we actually... I'll see if I can parry the next attack. If you parry, you also automatically weaken enemies. So I'll probably try and parry the guy that's on the bottom here to showcase that. There we go. See, if you parry, you basically kind of like defense break them or something like that. You can't parry every attack either, by the way. And there we go, we have a spear now. I much prefer this over something like the bow that I just got, because it gives some range, well, a little bit more range than our normal basic attacks. But not just that, it also poisons this one in particular. There's a couple of different statuses that you can get. Poison is one of them. Fire is another, and then of course you can also pick up certain relics that will basically empower these modifiers, like for example bonus poison damage or something like that. Let's see. Minus 10 gold offering, increases stamina by 1. Each greed kill removes 2 corruption. Since most of our kills are going to be greeds anyways, I think this is a pretty decent one. Now, I don't have enough gold to buy this, but I can pay with blood. Now, what this does is not take away from my HP pool, but if you look at the bottom right, there's this purple bar that goes to 100. That's basically my, how should I call it, like my curse meter. And whenever that fills, you get a curse, and you can see you can have up to 5 curses. So you can choose to offer some blood, and this will increase that curse meters, as you can see on the bottom right. Now it is only 30, but that is because our first curse is going to be activated upon leaving this floor. So if I go through the wall, or like through the door, you'll see that our curse meter is now basically going to go to 1, and we are going to receive our first curse. These are both negatives as well as positives in some cases. Let me see. Opening gold chest inflicts corruption. Gold chest contain more gold. So like as you can see, I'm going to get more corruption, which is that curse bar, every time I open a gold chest, but I am going to get more gold out of it basically. There's also other ones, for example, where the traps are now periodical, so it's easier to predict, but they are constantly going off. There's also stuff where there's basically more traps firing at you and stuff like that. But then on the other hand, you can also kind of use that to deal more damage to the enemies, since enemies also take damage from those traps. So some pretty cool stuff that you can do there. And that's another wall that we can break open as well, so I'm just gonna light that on fire. Oh, and as you can see, there is also like basically how many dodges you can do, but if you perform a parry, a perfect dodge, or if you get kills, that's how you basically get stamina back a lot faster than you normally would. It doesn't look like there's too much over here. Make sure I do not stand in the traps. See what is back here. Like as you can see, these things, oh, should not have stood in that, but I could basically use those to also try and hit enemies and stuff like that. If, say for example, I had the curse that all of those statues would constantly attack me. I tried to parry that one last second, but didn't end up happening. There we go. Damage to poison attacks. That's pretty good, because we have a spear that poisons. What do we have here? Max HP or gold? Fine, I'm just gonna go for the HP. And then we shall move on to the next floor, which is going to give us some gold. I think I'm gonna go straight up, because that is going to give me access to the Altar of Healing, which at this point, actually I didn't take that much damage yet, but I would like to have as much HP as possible when I do fight the boss eventually. There's also another trap I can use to set enemies on fire. So it's really cool how you can use the environment to your advantage. Of course, if I were to run into that beam, that would also deal damage to me. But as long as I don't get hit by that, then that is not an issue. Oh, and there is also a charged attack. So if I hold down my normal attack button, I do that little slice. And there's also combo attacks. Oh. So if I were to... Wait, I'm pressing the wrong buttons. Okay, never mind, I'm feeling this. I'm not a huge fan of the buttons that you have to press for this one, because it is X and Y on an Xbox controller, which is kind of weird to press. But it's basically a combo attack between your main, which is this, and your secondary, which is this. So you do kind of like a switcheroo. This of course works with your main and offhand, so if you get a different main weapon or a different offhand, then that attack is going to look slightly different. Oh, and that's an annoying boss, because these will actually heal up the enemies. I'm just gonna kill that quickly. Let me see. Deals critical damage after a perfect dodge. I'll take it, because this hits harder, does a little bit less damage, but that's alright. And this one also has a pretty cool special attack attached to it. Oh, and the enemy actually killed each other. I'm pretty sure I can actually use this to dodge the attack as well, because you can get behind them very quickly. Now, one other important thing to note is if you look at the bottom of the screen, you'll see this like yellowish symbol. Now, if I take out my weapon and I go stand in the shadows, it turns dark. And when I run back into the light, it becomes yellow again. There are certain perks that activate when you are in the light and when you are in the darkness, so you kind of want to take that into account as well. What do we get here? +3 Constitution. That is more HP basically. If I open up my inventory real quick, you can see here 8 Constitution, which is the perk I have right now, is giving me 400 maximum HP bonus. Then underneath that we have, not 100% sure what it's called anymore, but it gives damage, and then we have Dexterity at the bottom, which is more gold found basically. And then of course certain weapons interact with these things differently. I can go either for a relic or for something unknown. I think I'm just gonna go relic and then just straight up. I think that's the best choice for now, because I don't necessarily need a weapon or more gold at this point. Although I guess I could use some more gold. Oh, and these are all gonna explode. Oh, although I do want to see what's behind here. These will activate, so I can use those again to activate the enemies, to attack the enemies I wanted to see. Oh, and I can use that to also get into that secret room later as well. Oh, I should have tried to parry that actually. That was an unfortunate dodge timing. Alright, there we go. So now that shoots me and opens up the secret wall. I should actually take out my torch. Well, let me see what's here first, because I have a feeling that there's going to be a door that is going to slam shut behind my back once I go through that one. Alright, let's see what's in here. Yeah, exactly. So I couldn't go back, even if I wanted to. And then I guess we kind of go back onto the normal path that I started on. Now we have a big guy here as well. And I failed the parry timing. Oh, also, every time that you get hit by those witches, they will corrupt you. So I'm gonna be getting a second curse at the end of this map, basically. And now I can just base damage for spears. Really good, because I have a spear. And as you can see, hit tick down to poison damage. Now, when you poison an enemy, it'll also show you how much damage the poison is going to deal to them. So you can kind of calculate how much more you still need to do and stuff like that. Critical damage and more maximum HP. I shall take it. And of course, since we had gold, I'm basically just going to be using the gold when I don't have to spend my blood. On the other hand, if you want to do something crazy with like having a bunch of curses on you, you can of course just constantly spend blood at these altars instead of gold. Dodging makes you intangible with an increased dodging window. Perfect dodge no longer regenerates stamina. So as you can see, my dodge now becomes way stronger. But on the other hand, perfect dodge will no longer regenerate my stamina for me. Well, that's kind of a cool looking dodge though. Now these health altars are again a curse and a blessing. So I'm going to be regenerating HP, but I'm also going to gain cursed meter. So I'm not going to completely fill it up just to not get too much cursed. I think by the time that we reach the boss, I am still going to have a third curse though. I am just gonna take the gold and then the question mark, since I already have weapons that I quite enjoy. Maybe, I guess I could upgrade my my gun, since the gun is still normal, I believe. Yeah, the gun is still normal, but the rest I've already upgraded. Alright, I need to make sure that I do not get hit by the flamey thingies again. The fire on the ground will also deal damage to you, so... Oh, almost got hit there. And I got corrupted, so I'm definitely getting that second curse now. Oh well, I was already gonna get the third curse anyways. It's not like it really matters that much. We opened up the wall, so I could either... Oh, hello. What do we have here? There we go! A gun that does fire damage when I do a perfect shot. Cool. So I don't need the weapon now, so I can just continue on now. I am gonna explore a bit further to see what's down here. But I could have technically moved on to the next floor already if I wanted to. I'm actually really liking this. Oh wait, what was this? Deals critical damage when only one enemy is nearby. That is going to be very useful for when I fight the boss. Oh fuck, I wanted to light that thing on, but... guess I'm not doing that just yet. This is going to be so much more useful on the boss fight than the previous weapon is going to be. So it's actually a good find. So as you can see, you kind of have to mix and match with the weapons that you find and the curses and stuff like that, rather than like having a sort of set up abilities like you do with Wizard of Legend. Which I quite enjoy. Basically makes every run kind of forced to be different as well. Together with, of course, the curses that you get. Oh, this was one curse that I was talking about before, where all the Jaguar statues that we find now are also going to be shooting fireballs at us, so we don't have those normal dormant ones anymore. Oh, I guess kind of the downside to this dodge is that our flame goes out for a second, so you don't see the traps anymore. Should have probably gone to the left to see what was there, now that I think about it. See, that last hit I should have not done that technically, because the poison damage is gonna kill him anyways. Oh, and I actually kinda tried to parry there, but I was too late on the parry. Yet again. Takes some getting used to that one. Oh, gold offerings remove corruption. Okay. Well, I guess the goal would be to not get a fourth one. Although I'm not sure either whether or not getting 5 curses is actually a bonus. You maybe get something special. Because I know you can only get up to 5. Because once you get that 5th curse, it says final curse. So I'm kind of curious to see what will happen at that point. Oh, I was kind of hoping that the trap would trigger twice. But it only triggers once. What else do we have here? Poison attacks or fire attacks. Wait, do I actually have something? Yeah, poison attacks have 15% increased damage. So I'm gonna take the poison gun as well. So we have a full poison build right now, I guess you could call it. And then we shall move on to the champion, which is kind of like the dungeon boss, which in this case is going to be the final boss as well, because I chose that short exploration. Oh, you summoned an extra dog. I tried to dodge away out of that one, but I was just a second too late. You also need to be kind of careful that you keep enough stamina so that you can still dodge out of the way, because those special attacks do require you to spend stamina. Oh, and there we go, we had a nice dodge right there. Oh. Oh, and that was actually very lucky, I guess, because the fireball from the statue ended up hitting me. I'm quite sure I can't block those, actually. Or parry those, I mean. Right, let me kill these dogs first. Before I go back at the boss. I ran out of stamina again. I really need to be careful whenever I use that spear. I'm just gonna make sure I always keep 1 stamina now. Or I'm at least gonna try to do that. Oh, I guess I don't necessarily need to... Oh wait, I ran out of stamina. Fuck. Okay, let's take out the dogs first again. Before I end up dying to them. There we go. And there we go, that is the boss vanquished as well. Got a little bit sketchy towards the end, because I didn't really know what I was doing. But as you can see, lots of skulls. We did have some drop before as well. But the boss drops quite a few as well. And of course, since this is the end of the dungeon here, because I chose a short exploration, we can't continue. But we do have this portal right here that I can take to go back to the hub, I guess you could call it. There you can see your progress, what did the most damage to you, how much time you spent, health restored, all of that kind of stuff if you're interested in that. And then you go back to the beginning, where you can go and do it all over again. Of course, I can now basically unlock more blessings if I want to, because I now have 26 skulls, so I can unlock a bunch of new stuff. If of course this was the first time I beat this boss, I would have also unlocked some new stuff, so when I go into the dungeon again, and I do, for example, the medium exploration, this one right here, then I would have unlocked new stuff, got a new mini-boss to fight, and then unlocked the next part of this dungeon. So that's kind of like my first look slash first impressions. So far, I have to say first impressions are really good. Really enjoying this game. It feels really good to play as well. Kind of gives me a Sekiro vibe with this parrying mechanic, which I'm very bad at. But I do remember, like, when I was playing Sekiro at the start, I was horrible at the parrying, but then by the time that, like, I beat the game like 5 or 6 times, by the time I was on that 6th replay, I was just parrying everything, and it was just a really good feeling when you do so. So all in all, game has a lot of potential, really enjoying it so far. I am going to be doing a kind of like official review, I guess you could say, when I get some more playtime in, maybe when I'm done with the stuff that's in the early access or something like that. Might play this a bit on stream as well, not entirely sure yet. By the time that this video, oh no, actually, I don't have time to upload this before I start raid on Final Fantasy, but basically, you might see me play this on stream over the next few days as well, after I'm done raiding on Final Fantasy or something like that. We'll have to wait and see for that. But that's gonna be the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.